Hello, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast. Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast is not safe for work. We are teachers who love our jobs, and because we want to keep our jobs, we're going to remain anonymous and use pseudonyms throughout this. I'd like to give a special thank you to all our Patreon donors. If you're interested in getting some Teacher Needs a Drink swag, like bottle openers and koozies and shot glasses and all that, go to Patreon, where you can help support us financially, as well as get access to bonus episodes and lost episodes and special things like that. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Lud Lamb Dramatics. If you are a theater teacher or know a theater teacher in your building, send them to ludlambdramatics.com. That's the home to amazing educational theater posters and awesome, cool, original ways to decorate your classroom for the theater space. Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast comes out every Wednesday. If you have a story to share with us, you can tag us on Instagram or Facebook, or you can also go to our website, teacherneedsadrinkpodcast.com, and hit us up through the contact page. If you can, please follow and leave a review, subscribe, all that great stuff. The easiest way to support us, even easier than going to Patreon, find one other teacher and tell them about Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast. All right, my friends, we have a small, intimate group. The end of the year is wrapping up, so a lot of our cast is busy. So it's an intimate meeting today of myself, Bunny O'Hare, and Shirley Temper. Enjoy episode 36.
I know. And so he said he was sorry that he missed me in the crowd surfing.
Well, welcome to Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast. I'm Elvis, your host, and we have an intimate, tiny group for Teacher Needs a Drink Podcast After Dark. And today with me, I have Miss Shirley Temper.
Identity theft is not a joke, Jim. Millions of families suffer every year.
And also Miss Bunny O'Hare.
Hi, Elvis.
Hello, ladies. Welcome to the end of the year. And man, I'm kind of cashed out. Like, it's been a week or two of slowly dialing things down. And I don't know, this last day or two, it felt like a lot of running to get the last few things that I didn't think I had done or had thought I had done. I don't know how to say it. But what are you guys doing? I'm officially done and out now.
Well, tomorrow is our official last day. And the expectation is, I feel so backwards and in opposite of what we have been doing, which is social distancing and distance learning. Typically, and I think most schools do, we have a end of year checkout list. And, it's not a big deal when you're on campus and you have, a full week of here and there getting things done. But we have a full, huge, 15 thing list that we're supposed to get done before noon tomorrow. And we're also getting emails from everybody that's like, well, I'll be available in my office from 10:30 to 2 or 9 to 1. It's all different times. So I feel like I need to make a freaking spreadsheet to figure out when to be there. Because I'm not going to, in and out. Come on.
That was one of the things I hated about end of the year checklists is when you had to stand in line outside some admin or counselor's door to get their check on the name list or whatever. So I'd spend 15 minutes just waiting to get oh, yes, you've turned in your books, or yes, you turned in whatever, blah, blah, blah bullshit. Ugh.
If I was queen of the world tomorrow, I'd plop everybody in our cafeteria all spread out because we need to social distance and we just need to go from table to table. Just bing, bang, boom, get it done. Well, they didn't ask me.
Well, tomorrow's our official last day as well. And kind of what Elvis said, I find myself picking up the last little odds and ends of the year. There was some sped documentation that I didn't realize that I still had to do. And so I had to turn around and do that yesterday. And, just some little, paperwork bits and pieces. But tomorrow I also have to go up to my campus live and in person, finish up the last little bits and bobs there. So
people aren't going to social distance and wear a mask. You just know it's going to be a problem.
No, we had an event at my school, the 8th grade clap out to say goodbye to our 8th graders. It sounds
STD convention. Yeah.
You gave them the clap? That's so
we gave dangerous. All the we gave some of the 8th graders the clap. The rule that was told to us was if you're going to be here, if you're outside and you're more than 6 feet away from people, you can take off your mask because we're going to be spread out through the parking lot. But if you're standing closer than that, or if we're indoors for something, you need to have your mask on. There were maybe 5 people out of 80 of us there wearing masks. I was like, guys, come on. It's not hard.
That's so frustrating because we're educators. We're supposed to be the ones to like set the example for science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I tell you, I worked a shift. We did a very unique graduation this week that wound up being pretty cool. When I was there, it was very cool. Basically, over the course of 4 days, the seniors, they did like 6 students an hour, and each student had a time to be there. They brought 5 family members. We let them in, one family at a time. Family sat in the front row. Kids walked down the aisle, crossed the stage, picked up their diploma. There was a professional photographer. They took a family picture. Like, it was so lovely and well done. We got an email. You have to wear masks. That is the expectation.
Yeah.
Me and maybe 2 people out of 30. And nobody was social distancing. There was hugging and the proximity. And I'm just inwardly screaming.
No, people were talking about going out to eat afterwards. And I was like, no, this is not social distancing. Like, I would rather be paranoid and safe than accidentally get something and give it to somebody that I care about. From Reddit user Siamese Sumo Cat. It's beautiful. Okay. Working from home, my Velcro Siamese cat tends to hang out with me, especially during Zoom meetings. He actually watches the screen. I had an IEP meeting for a kid who has really annoyed the crap out of me this year. As the meeting went on and on, the cat was constantly passing in front of the camera, which tends to get, "Oh, how cute" comments. Then the cat turned with his backside facing the camera. I noticed my cat's asshole was prominently featured in the video caption on my end. I could have moved the cat, but since this meeting was a waste of time, I figured sharing a real-time video of my cat's asshole was a wonderful passive-aggressive way to participate.
Thank you, user Siamese Sumo Cat. Cheers.
Yes.
Slow clap.
Low claps. That's amazing.
Oh, that is magnificent.
That's my next goal, is to train my cat to do that.
But does your cat have a prominent asshole? Because that's,
I've got my dog, but that's just obscene. Off topic, but I know you can get your pet stuffed, like, after they pass. Do they include the asshole, or do they just kind of like
stitch it up or something?
Like sweatband, waistband, drawstring, and so it's not there anymore.
These are the things that are keeping you awake at night.
And what did they make it out of?
That is literally something I have never thought of at any time in my life until this moment.
Haven't we all been pet bombed in a Zoom or Google Hangout at this point, though?
I'm not mad at it. My kids would bring their pets on, or they would put their pets in. I would have them send in a picture of them, demonstrating something at home, or, a picture of whatever it is that they made, and they would put their pet in it. And I was like, you think you're getting extra credit.
And you're right.
And it works.
You're probably not wrong.
My cat has, I swear, every time I would film a lesson, we would film 1 20-minute lesson a week without fail. This darn cat would either knock the camera off or jump in my lap, or he's just the most sweetly destructive beast in this cat body. And without fail, somebody would be like, "Hey, your cats look so cool. Like, you want them? You want them this week?" So this Reddit post is from Edumacation, all misspelled, and it is titled Resignation, and it feels so good. Yes, that is the title. My fingers danced and trembled across the keyboard in schoolgirlish excitement as I composed a letter of resignation this afternoon. The temptation to spew vitriol from my biliary ducts was quashed upon realizing I don't have to do this anymore. I didn't even need a Snickers. I just said, I resign effective at the close of the school year. Sincerely, me. Not to be uncouth, but it feels like I've been relieved after 5 years of constipation and chronic hemorrhoids. The feeling is that visceral. I've been working in multiple circles of hell for 5 years under a terrible administrative team. I thought I could write it out since admin come and go, but this particular team, BFFs of the regional superintendent, they ain't going nowhere. Half the staff have resigned in the last 2 years. I received a contract today from my new employer. $18K pay increase, lower cost of living, much cooler area. Deuces, bitches.
Good for education. Way to move up and move on.
Seriously. Oh, that sucks, though. To be trapped for 5 years.
And that worst is the last chunk of time. And I can't imagine doing that last chunk of time during quarantine and Corona. I remember being out at my last public education when I was teaching in public school, and I remember thinking they have those easy buttons they sell at Staples or whatever, where you hit it, it's like, I wanted a button that just said "fuck it," and I remember like 10 times a day just envisioning that button and just smashing it with my hand over and over and over again. But of course, you don't have "fuck it" buttons in elementary school.
Oh man. I mean, I've been there. I've been doing this long enough. I just finished my 14th year and I've had 5 principals, I think, in that time. And I can't even tell you how many assistant principals and several superintendents, I think 4 in that time, which is, kind of normal at this stage. But there have been some real doozies. And it was, 2 or 3 years of just, I got to ride this out. And it's the worst. It's the worst feeling to not feel supported by the people who are supposed to support you.
Well, the beauty of being a teacher, one of the small perks is you can almost teach anywhere. I mean, you can move up if you don't like it in your part of town, move to another part of town. You could move to another city, and they're probably going to need a teacher. It might not be exactly what you want that first year, but you can transition. There's no reason to be stuck unless you just don't want to. And I get not wanting to move because moving sucks, but you can always jump ship as a teacher. And it sounds like this person might have had a new career because I can't imagine jumping ship as a teacher to another teaching position and getting, $18K added on. But there's a career outside of teaching. There's all kinds of careers. Well, there was 4 months ago. I don't mark my time by the passing of admin. I pass it by remarkable things of the year. Like, oh, that was the year what's-her-name had that weird haircut. Or, oh, that was time when she was in a cast for 3 months. And that's the only, because after, year 5, year 7, I'm on year 17 now. It all really blends together. I couldn't tell you what happened 3rd or 4th. You said, oh, yeah, it's that year the kid got his wang in the zipper. I remember that year.
I mark it by the things around me. That's the year that I had my kid, or that's the year that the tree destroyed my house and I was homeless.
I forgot that. That was the year that I wore the toe shoes for 5 months.
That's right. That wasn't a good time for you.
No, I actually kind of cringe at that one. I don't cringe at a lot of my choices, but the toe shoes, for as long as I wore those in public to work, yeah. All right, this is posted to Reddit by Commander Mayday, and it's start school this summer because we missed the spring. Wait, what exactly did we miss? Among the more far-fetched ideas about how to deal with COVID-19 has been the one about starting the school year early to make up for missed time this past spring. Now, get ready because I'm about to say the quiet part out loud. What exactly did we miss? In my state, the shutdown happened in mid-March, 1 week before spring break. In my school, the week before spring break is an astonishing waste of time. We try, but very little gets done. Back from spring break starts testing season. For the entire month, our building is thrown into upheaval with the different schedules and shortened classes so we can take the dozen or so various state tests that must be administered. This includes all the kids taking it for the very first time as well as those retaking the test to qualify for graduation. This runs all the way through the first week of May. As most teachers know, May is the most useless month of all. It is filled with field trips and parties for various clubs and groups. When not tripping or partying, all anyone wants to do is prep for finals. They don't really want to do that, but by convincing their teachers that they actually intend to study, they trick them into not doing any more new material. So again, May is a waste of time. Start early this summer to make up for time lost in the spring. What the fuck did we miss? Really? Honestly, from spring break to Christmas, from spring break to summer, it's just testing and catch up and make sure you're not failing. And I know that's pretty much what's like, okay, well, what movie can we show this week?
I think between, not having to do all the state testing, I missed my evaluation, my T-test evaluation. I know we're all just...
How are you going to survive?
Terribly verklempt about that. I don't know. It's going to keep me up at night.
Shirley, how are you going to be a good teacher next year if they don't tell you everything you did wrong?
I don't know. I just want proficiency. We missed that. We missed testing. We missed T-test. I do, because I teach high school, I do wish I had those last few weeks with my students. I really do.
Yeah.
That's what I missed. But how is starting in the summer going to get me that time back?
You think I'm going to be able to get my 8th graders to come back for 2 weeks before they go to high school? No. Not happening.
I know they had talked and floated about the idea of having the kids come back just for the last week of school to reopen things quicker. But it's like, no, that's the most pointless thing ever. And luckily the school districts here got ahead of that. Like, no, sorry, we already made them turn their books back and we shut down everything. And
I don't think it was ever a question in my district. I think once they were like, it's done, they swung into action really quickly. They actually allowed us, not made us, the option of submitting our grades 2 weeks ago. So I just jumped on it. I feel very firmly that I'm not going to fail a kid for this. I'm just not going to do it. I refused. I don't care. I'm not going to do it. And so I put my grades in as soon as possible because I'm not going to, I have a lot of feelings about that.
Well, just as a specials teacher, I generally don't fail anyone unless they're a raging asshat who refuses to do anything. Pretty much if you're in my class and just physically alive and not being a dick, you will get an A or a B. For the most part, unless you completely ignore all assignments, are rude, smartass, stop everyone else from learning. But that's the beauty of being a specials teacher. I can get away with that.
I've given people many a 70, not necessarily for the year, but for the 6 weeks. And, I have had a couple of people pass with, a whisper and a prayer above a 70, but that's as low as I'm going to go for my subject.
Well, and the whole thing about this process is that it has, at least for me, thrown into stark relief the inequities in the system and between my kids. I have kids that every kid at the house has their own device and they have fiber Wi-Fi. And then I have kids living in a hotel that are sharing one phone between them and their 3 siblings. Mm-hmm. If they're not starting at the same starting line, then judging them, holding them to the same standard at a time when we are so limited in what we can do for them.
Absolutely. And where I work, it's very rural and they might have internet and they have devices, but the Wi-Fi is so sketchy out there. They literally can't get on the interwebs to do their work. Mm-hmm. And we have paper copies, but they don't have a car because they ride the bus. And it's just, there's too many factors. You can't fail a kid during this pandemic. You just can't. And I know a lot of people that I work with because I was in a couple of those Zoom faculty meetings where they were throwing little teacher fits. And thank goodness my microphone was muted because I had a lot to say.
You could have shown them a cat asshole.
Oh, you do have the cat. You've got multiple assholes that you could have shown them.
I do. Which one?
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. I'd like to thank our guest today, Miss Shirley Temper. Thanks for being here.
It is always a pleasure.
Of course. And Miss Bunny O'Hare, it was wonderful having you.
Thanks for having me back, Elvis.
Of course. All right. Cheers, ladies.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Hello. thank you for joining us for another episode of Teacher Needs a Drink podcast. Teacher Needs a Drink podcast comes out every Wednesday and is sponsored by Lud Lamb Dramatics. That's LUDLAMDRAMATICS.com. If you have a story you'd like to share with us at Teacher Needs a Drink podcast, you can tag us on Instagram, Facebook, or you can go to our website, teacherneedsdrinkpodcast.com, and hit us through the contact page. Please follow, subscribe, and leave a review if you can, and also tell one person. I'd like to thank my special guests today, Miss Shirley Temper and Miss Bunny O'Hare, and a big hug and squeeze to Miss Priscilla, who's by my side while I do all of this. Everyone, relax. I hope your summer's starting. Take a deep breath. It's crazy out there. Breathe. Bye.
And then you open mouth kissed everyone on your way out. Just, manners.
Licked the keypad.
Ew.